well, for sure everybody knows it's bigger, it's more successful, but you know, I think, you know, what's changed and what's great about what's happened over the last 10 years is that the music that we started playing has evolved and changed, but also continued to grab more and more people's hearts and minds. And that, I think, was the original idea, perhaps for Sven, was to, you know, I know to come back to the island because he had a connection with it, but to, you know, turn people on to what we were doing. And, you know, you could look back now 10 years later and say, okay, the music's changed, we're playing slightly different, but we've evolved. And now we've been able to evolve over 10 years with a bigger and bigger crowd. So we're sitting here, I really think we're sitting here 10 years later, holding the same flag as we were 10 years ago, this techno, electronic, minimal, house, underground, cool fucking music flag. But now we have much more people with us than we did 10 years ago. I think Ibiza has been important for all the music that's developed over the last 20 years. You know, when you look at our type of music, techno music 10 years ago, it was smaller in the world scene. And the music that was popular everywhere else was the music that was popular here. More trance and other types of commercial house music. And part of that is because some of that music is more accessible. But I think also there was a lot to do with it, that Ibiza has always been a center point of music, partying, nightlife, you know, vacation. And early on, the house and trance guys were here supporting this island and sending out those waves all over the world. And it wasn't really until Sven came and COCOON came that a underground beacon was planted here and then also started to send out waves. And so in the beginning, you know, it took a little while, but now you can see, I think, 10 years later, how effective that is. You know, it took a lot of time and energy and craziness from all of us to make that beacon strong. But Ibiza is still a very significant point in the world of electronic music. You know, anywhere that you have so many international people coming together, meeting friends, making new friends, and having crazy experiences. This is, people take stories away from this island to the far corners of the world. And those stories need a soundtrack. And I think the last 10 years, COCOON has grown to become a significant point of that soundtrack, maybe the soundtrack from these past years. I've been DJing a long time, and of course I have relationships with other clubs and other places I like to go, you know, like Japan and places I feel connected to. But really the last 10 years, Ibiza has become much closer to my heart than I ever thought possible. And I think the reason is that other clubs, okay, I go to Tokyo and I have some friends there. I go to Buenos Aires and I have some friends there. But Ibiza and COCOON has always been a meeting point for all those friends. You know, the clubs and promoters I play for, you know, all over the place, the friends I usually see there, and there, all end up becoming together into one big group on this island. And I think that's what transcends the other places. You know, this place has better sound, or this place, well, it doesn't matter. A great party isn't about one thing. It's about a lot of things coming together and it becoming more than the sum of its parts. Suddenly you're like, fuck, this is really something special. And I think Ibiza does that. And COCOON has done that for the last 10 years. And you know, I think it's even heightened it to even beyond what it was, because I think the passion and the energy and the craziness that COCOON brought to the island was probably missing from the island for 20 or 30 years. It was probably something a little bit more like what was happening in the 70s and early 80s. You know, a little bit more of the hedonistic, you know, full-on style. Yeah, I think Ibiza, especially about 4 or 5 years ago, around 2005, was a meeting place, not only for people coming to dance and punters or kids or whatever you want to call it, but also for, you know, the other DJs. You know, I remember the early after hours we were doing, that you would just look around and half the people dancing were DJs that you never thought knew how to dance anymore. And if they weren't dancing, they were sitting there like looking at you and thinking and listening and like really like, you know, being inspired. And I think we've all drawn a lot of inspiration from our experiences at Cocoon. You know, I've drawn inspirations from Sven, but I think whatever I've taken or other of us have taken has also been passed along. You know, you see people like Marco Carolla, you know, Baram, you know, Adam Beyer, all these people, you know, Danny Tenaglia, you know, like Eric Murillo, all these people who have perhaps changed their style a little bit, or let's say been reinvigorated, been re-inspired. Many of those people, you know, perhaps found part of that re-inspiration here on the island during this music that we've been playing at some of the clubs, some of the parties, and definitely some of the after parties. So that's the thing. Ibiza and Cocoon have allowed us to have a place to hang out with friends and remember why we love this music so much. That's the important thing. You know, it's about, you know, hanging out and having fun and letting your hair down, or, you know, and relaxing and just going with it. That is what the island offers. Yeah, we have new another party to start, more craziness to do, and of course an after hours to prepare for, and that means a full stomach to go to the bitter end once more on Ibiza. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rich. Cool.